We're two hitchhikers. We met while hiking Mount Baldy with mutual friends, wasted no time, got engaged on a frozen alpine lake, got hitched, and have been adventuring together since. We're embarking on a new adventure of living big in a tiny home. Let's see how this goes.
Adventure awaits.
Well, we're still playing hide and seek with the winter weather. As quickly as a storm rolls in to bring us snow, the sun comes out to melt it all just as fast as it came in. Fortunately, our projects this week focus on being inside. Project number 1, installing tile for the restroom floor. This is special Meyer tile and comes all the way from SoCal.
This is for you. I was just showing you that it could be done.
How do I know how deep to go?
So because our tiles are larger than 15 inches on one side, we have to use a mortar that is specific for large tiles, and it's called large format tile mortar. It is a more medium consistency rather than the thin set. So we're going to mix it the same way where we mix it for 5 minutes, we wait about 10-15 minutes, then we mix it for another 5 minutes, then we're ready to go ahead and put the tiles on. And in this case, we do have to back butter the tiles because they are so large. Once again, it's a completely different process than the pebbles, but in a way, this is much less complicated. Okay, our mortar has mixed for the second time and it is now ready for me to go ahead and start tiling. So I'm only doing small batches because these tiles are so large. I just want to make sure that I'm doing an accurate job rather than being hasty and trying to get it all done before the mortar starts to cure. So here goes the first round. I'm using a 1/4 inch trowel here. So I'm gonna do a thin spread and then I'm gonna back butter the tiles and plop them on. From what we have learned, there is no need to actually back butter 100%. However, something of this size, they recommend at least 90%. So, I'd rather be safe than sorry. The tiles have been curing now for over 24 hours, so that means it's time to remove the levelers. Now that the levelers have been removed, it's time for grout.
Is it still on the line?
Which line am I looking for? This one here?
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Did it move off the line?
It did not.
What I have here is a piece that goes right there, and then I just cut that piece out and actually, let's mark the center of that. Let's mark the center of that. That way when I put the bolts in, they actually go into the backing that they're supposed to.
We now have a fully insulated shed. There is still much to do in here to get it ready for the battery system and water cistern placement, but while we're finishing all of that up, we can temporarily utilize this space as an enclosed workshop if there is inclement weather. This also enables us to keep the tools in here rather than bringing everything in the casita at night and back out in the morning. It's a step up as far as efficiency. The reason the water tank is going to live in here is because
we get freezing temperatures. Freezing temperatures. And this is a well-insulated spot, so it's going to keep from freezing. And in the summer, when it's really, really, really hot outside, this is going to be like an ice cube inside the room because our water temperature averages at around 51 degrees.
out of the ground.
And yeah, it's going to be nice to have a 51 degree ice cube in here while everything else is doing its jobs.
Keeping the batteries nice and cool.
See? Wow.
The water tank fits in there! All because of him.
Yay, me.
So even though we are still in winter, we are getting some much warmer days now, so obviously spring is coming. And if you recall, when we first got our about quart of wood, when winter kind of came early this year, we sort of just made a last minute decision and knew that a lot of the wood that we obtained was scrap wood and some of it could be questionable. And since we did not burn as, for about 2 months, we have a lot of wood right now that we have to go through because as days get a little bit warmer, any critters, i.e. termites, any of the larvae might actually start waking up. So we need to go through all of the wood and clean out anything that is questionable. So that is the agenda for today. But the good news is we're going to get through all the wood and we are going to process it so that we have the small pieces that we need for our tiny wood stove. Well, that's the good wood that we have left. That is a mixture of oak and pine, and that's juniper in there. I still need to chop more juniper, but we have plenty of that here on the property. And unfortunately, we had to get rid of maybe about 40% of the wood. So we're gonna have a bonfire tonight here. No winds are expected, and if no wind is coming tomorrow, that will be tomorrow's bonfire. We need to move through this. We've been asked how bad traffic can get up here. We definitely get our share of traffic jams up here. Ours just look a little different. I was a half a second too short. Although it was a little bit of a gut punch to have to get rid of so much of our wood pile, the bonfire was extra toasty as the temperatures dropped. The weather quickly changed overnight, bringing a bit of wind and precipitation, so bonfire night number 2 is postponed until the winds die down. Our next focus is to paint the interior of the shed. Fortunately, we can do this with no worry of the weather.
Still work to be done.
We still have many things to get through in the coming weeks.
Wow, 48 degrees in here.
Our previous time lapses have been with our GoPro. This time lapse, however, is brought to you by our real camera and actually depicts a more accurate representation of our view of this majestic mountain. She is huge. With a couple of more storms in the forecast, we're still at the whims of the weather of what we can focus on. Be sure to check back next week to see what we tackle. Thank you for watching and following along as we adventure our way through this tiny home build. See you soon!